Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV. Hello, friends and neighbors. Welcome to the Splash Live. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, bringing you all of the latest news and stories from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Recently at Schuler Books, a presentation took place about many of the impactful women who originated from Oakland County. Christine Blackwell showcased her new book, Remarkable Women of Oakland County, Michigan, with examples like General Motors CEO Mary Barra, Roper School founder Anne-Marie Roper, and even famous singers like Madonna and Aretha Franklin. Guests took away many powerful stories and lessons from this presentation, as it shows the creativity of the community and the many sources of inspiration that came from it. I spoke with some of the visitors of the event to hear what they took away and how this can apply to the Greater West Bloomfield area.
Being an entrepreneur and having the entrepreneurial spirit like I do, I just think it's really important that women be recognized for the strengths that they have, and not only the strengths but the perseverance, and to recognize other women, the struggles and the successes, and you can't have one without the other. And it was just very enlightening to hear about other women who have succeeded where they don't let anything get in their way. And I think it's really important to let our youth know that.
How great is it for the community to be made aware of these stories and to make sure that they're continued to be told everywhere you go?
Well, I think it has to do with pride of place, right? You have to have pride in the people who came before that helped build the community that we enjoy now. And if it weren't for the people who came before, then we wouldn't really enjoy some of the things we do now.
Detroit is the comeback city. Okay? And, you know, you might knock us down, but we come back, and we come back even stronger. I believe that if we all work collectively together to make this world a better place, we can. And there's so many people in Michigan, men, women, the youth, that are coming together to make it all work. And it's a blessing. It's truly a blessing to be from Michigan and to be a native Detroiter.
It is a blessing to be from Michigan and to hear these amazing stories and to just feel that inspiration coursing through you as you go on to tackle the world, taking some of the lessons from these powerful stories and adapting them into your own life to propel yourself even further. There's so much to take away. I appreciated stopping by, talking to Christine once again, and hearing these words from the people stopping by to take away what they did from this wonderful presentation. As National Volunteer Month continues in Greater West Bloomfield, we look to showcase the many opportunities and people working to make the community a better place. There are many volunteers working throughout West Bloomfield, including at the Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital. Volunteer services assist in many different parts of the hospital to help the patients with whatever services they need. I spoke with some of the volunteers to hear how they first got involved with the hospital and how they hope to inspire more people to lend a hand.
Well, I think for me, this volunteer gig is really great. I'm here for 4 hours. I walk between 4 and 5 miles. I meet nice people, and I give back a little bit to my community. I live about 1.5 miles away, so it's an easy way to get here and then provide a service here at the desk. It's very interactive. In my previous life, I was in education and I was a school administrator, and I had a lot of contact with a lot of people all the time. And this helps provide that as well for me, is to provide a way for me to connect with folks and be helpful, which is great for me.
What got you involved with volunteer work for Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital?
I have always loved medical things, even though I did not work in that profession. I was a high school teacher, and one of the things that I love about volunteering at a hospital is whatever you do, you give 100%, and then you can walk out with no homework. It's wonderful. Nothing to grade, nothing to prepare. You just show up. But the best part really is people. You just see human beings of every age, shape, and size, and if you're a people person, that's very satisfying.
What do you have to say about volunteers and what they really bring to the community and just what they provide for services like Henry Ford Health?
They're as valuable as any employee. They're part of the team. And Henry Ford has really welcomed me and reminded me of that I'm not just an extra, but I'm also part of the team and a valuable part of the team.
So I'm a radiology student, and I was looking for something that would solidify that this is something I want to do in the future. And volunteering in the ED has been more than that. It has showed me that there's compassion in the hospital system, that there's nurses and doctors that still care about their patients, and I've never felt so at home somewhere in my entire life. I think it's amazing because I think people need to actually feel that they can go volunteer and that it's okay. I feel that anybody that's volunteered at least once in their life gets this little bit of fulfillment that they're lacking in their life or don't realize they're lacking. And it shows you helping your better man is something that's very important in our community, especially in today's day.
What would you say to people maybe looking to devote their time to volunteer in any aspect of whatever they choose to do? What would you have to say to them?
You have to pick your lane. You have to decide where, what time. I picked at Henry Ford. I'm there on Monday nights starting at 6 or 7 o'clock, depending on the season, how much I want to drive at night. So I picked that so that I can do other things during the day. So part of that is when I'm available, and part of it is when I can be most useful at night in the emergency room. Seems like, they always say it's a Monday night. So we're really busy tonight, and I'm glad to be there to help in that time.
Well, I think that the way to do that is to step in and give it a go. I mean, you can stand from the outside and look in and say, yeah, I mean, volunteering would probably be a cool thing to do. But really, the way to experience that is to step up and step in and be a person that does do some volunteering. And then do a little assessment, self-assessment. Does this fit for me? Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe you want to go do something different. But the only way to find that out is to really do it and to get in there and be a volunteer somewhere.
It's amazing services available all throughout Greater West Bloomfield, and they're not just available throughout Volunteer Awareness Month, they are available all year round. We want to see as many people helping out the community as possible. So it was great to stop by Henry Ford Hospital, West Bloomfield, hear these stories, and to hear how people got so excited to become a part of the Henry Ford team. With springtime in the air, residents are looking to get back outside and enjoy themselves along the many trails and scenic sights of West Bloomfield. The Trail Ambassador Program is a volunteer initiative designed to establish a friendly, visible presence on West Bloomfield's 6.8-mile trail network. It functions as a partnership between West Bloomfield Parks and the West Bloomfield Police Department to ensure the trails remain a safe and welcoming environment for all users. Our own Jonathan Montgomery has the story.
Class is in session today for the West Bloomfield Police Department. In a collaborative event with West Bloomfield Parks, they're introducing a new program called Trail Ambassadors. I had the opportunity to attend this informational training session to learn more about it. From trail etiquette to tourniquet protocols, this training was packed with vital information on keeping these trails safe. I spoke with leaders and volunteers to understand what excites them about the future of this program.
I'm very excited to get our trail ambassadors out there on the trail, prepared with materials and supplies, and have that presence that everybody's been asking for in recent surveys. So it's very exciting to start developing something from the ground up that we've never had in West Bloomfield before. I was so touched by the amount of people that showed up today. I recognized a lot of names from the commitment survey that they completed, as well as some new faces. It's very shocking and surprising, but also so heartfelt. I'm excited that they came because not only do we want that presence on the trail, they're avid users of the trail themselves, and so they're stepping up to keep it safe, keep it fun, teach, offer guidance, and so I'm looking forward to how this all rolls out over the next season.
Anytime we can get more eyes and ears on an area that we can gather more information from that maybe change up our response to it's always helpful. More information helps us, more data drives us, and obviously our goal is to make sure the trail is as safe and as nice for everybody to enjoy.
There were background checks, there were some things about tourniquets, things about, if EMS needs to be called. Most people probably felt like coming in, this was just like, oh, a little volunteer, I get to put on a badge, look nice or whatever. Why were those things important to mention to this group of people?
We want everybody to be as best prepared as we can. It's really important when you're engaging with persons of the public that we have whatever options we can to maintain their safety, not only theirs but their own. So anytime you have extra tools, extra resources that can be used to help somebody that's injured, we obviously want everybody to have that opportunity.
We'll have a responsibility to in being an ambassador, to ensuring safety, trying to keep an eye, a watchful eye, and also a helpful eye. Being able to answer questions. I know when I was using the trail religiously, I had questions and there was nobody out there to answer them. This should be a big help all the way around. and very rewarding for those who volunteer to be a part of it.
Programs like these are a very exciting thing for the community, and ambassadors can take pride in knowing the work that they do will help these trails be a safer place for all. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jonathan Montgomery.
Big thank you to Jonathan for going out and getting that story. All great things that are happening here in West Bloomfield. Everybody's getting back outside and enjoying themselves out on the West Bloomfield trails, and it's good that we have people protecting the trails and making sure that everybody is informed. Observed every April, Distracted Driving Awareness Month highlights the dangers of taking attention away from the road and promotes safer driving habits. Law enforcement agencies, including the West Bloomfield Police Department, increase education and enforcement efforts to reduce preventable crashes. Patrol Officer John Wynn with the West Bloomfield Police Department joined us on The Splash recently to tell us more. John, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing great and really happy to be having this conversation. It's an important one, especially as we have a lot of kids probably getting their license around this time of year at the end of the school year. What does Distracted Driving Awareness Month mean for the West Bloomfield Police Department?
Yeah, for the West Bloomfield Police Department, it's an opportunity for us to educate drivers on the matter, stress the possible consequences, and hopefully keep drivers safe.
And what are the most common types of distracted driving that you tend to see within the greater West Bloomfield community, above all else?
Most commonly is people talking on their phone, texting on their phone, and go as far as eating in the car. One I tend to see quite often is those running late for work or doing their makeup. But it's mostly texting and talking on the phone.
Yeah, I can imagine that, where you're in a rush and you're trying to get everything ready, but you got to prioritize what you're doing on the road. That is more important above anything else. How often are cell phones involved in traffic stops or accidents that happen locally, would you say?
Yeah, for traffic stops, it's almost a daily occurrence. I mean, it's hard to go throughout a shift without seeing somebody on their phone. Traffic crashes is a little harder to find out unless somebody tells you specifically that they were on their phone in the crash. But occurrence, the recent statistic, 2024 to 25, it's been about 4.6 to 5.2% of traffic crashes are related to cell phone use.
Oh, wow, so much higher number than I was expecting. And when it comes to something like that, I mean, most people might think, oh, I'm looking down for like 2 seconds. That shouldn't make that big of a difference. Can you explain how quickly a moment of distraction can turn dangerous?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when we're driving, and even in the human brain, we have a perception reaction time, right? So it takes you a second to see something, have your brain send the message to you to act. So it's just a matter of seconds before something can turn into something harmful.
Now, what are Michigan's current hands-free driving laws that maybe you typically enforce, and how are they enforced within the community?
Yeah. So the hands-free law went in effect in June of 2023. It prohibits drivers from using their mobile devices while operating a motor vehicle. This includes texting, talking on the phone, watching videos, or like FaceTime calls. It really aims to reduce the number of traffic crashes related to cell phone use, and to hopefully reduce injuries from those crashes. Basically, how we enforce it is, we drive around or we set up in places and just keep an eye out for those that aren't following the law.
Always keep an eye out everywhere you look in the community. For those just joining us on the Splash Live, I'm talking with West Bloomfield Patrol Officer John Wynn about National Distracted Driving Awareness Month, which is taking place all throughout the month of April. Now, as I said earlier, a lot of teens are probably in the process of getting their driver's license for the first time and getting out onto the road for themselves. Why are younger drivers more at risk for distracted driving incidents?
Well, I think it simply comes down to driving experience. They just haven't logged the hours to, fully understand the traffic laws or how to drive defensively. And I don't think they fully understand that, you could be driving as safe as possible and another distracted driver could be causing an accident. So you got to look out for all that.
That's absolutely right. It might not be you who causes the accident, but somebody else might be in that situation or put you in that situation that could get potentially very dangerous. Now, John, what simple steps can residents take to reduce distractions before they even start driving or before they even hit the road?
Yeah, well, they could educate themselves on the law, right? They could go as far as putting their phone on Do Not Disturb, turn it off. Some other things they could do is they could pre-plan their routes. So they know exactly where they're going, so they aren't forced to look down at their phone. Today they have these hand-free mounts for your phones that you could do if you needed to follow GPS. And most basic one is just focus on what you're doing.
That's absolutely right. Now, John, how does distracted driving compare to maybe other risky behaviors like speeding or even impaired drinking or even impaired driving?
Yeah, I would say it can be just as risky. It comes down to that perception reaction time. If you're going over the speed limit, you're not going to have as much time to react in the event that something comes up. Same thing for impaired. You're not thinking clear. Your cognitive abilities aren't as high. And if you're looking down at your phone or doing something along those lines, it's going to decrease that reception time and you might not be able to prevent something.
That's absolutely right. All important information we want the greater West Bloomfield community to understand as this month continues and beyond. John, last question before we let you go. What message do you want parents to share with teen drivers about staying focused behind the wheel?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Parents should educate their kids on the law, let them know the possible consequences of distracted driving. As a parent myself, I feel that driving is a privilege, and focusing on the roadway is important for their safety and the safety of other drivers. Like I previously stated, you never know what another driver is thinking or doing, so your focus is a high priority to prevent anything from happening.
That's absolutely right. Staying focused on the road is more important than anything else if you were in a situation like that. John, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
It was my pleasure. Have a good day.
Always stay focused on the road. There are a plethora of distractions everywhere you look, and it's important that you keep your eyes on the road and the cars around you. So we appreciate John Wynn for taking the time to talk with us here on the Splash Live. With many spring and summer sports making a grand return recently, lacrosse has continued to impact the students within West Bloomfield. The lacrosse program at West Bloomfield High School continues to grow as a competitive and community-driven team, emphasizing both athletic excellence and character development. We recently spoke with Jennifer Gulati, the youth coordinator with the boys and girls lacrosse in West Bloomfield, to hear some of the benefits of a sport like lacrosse.
Jennifer, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Happy to have you on to talk about lacrosse. It's a growing sport both for the boys and the girls. Certainly has been much more embraced in recent years at West Bloomfield High School. In your experience interacting with these students, both on the boys and the girls team, what do you believe maybe is the catalyst or has been the catalyst for that growing interest in lacrosse for Lakers?
It's a great sport because it combines the aspects of many other games. In fact, basketball was invented by a lacrosse player. So if kids are playing basketball, they already know most of the elements of lacrosse. It combines hockey, soccer, basketball, and in boys, because there's more physicality, you're going to see more like football and wrestling as well. It's a great sport for kids of all shapes and sizes. You don't necessarily have to be the biggest or the tallest or the strongest to be great at it, unlike some other sports. So it's a great sport for kids of all shapes and sizes to come out and play, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, kids have so much fun playing lacrosse, and you find that players that get interested in it and play it for a little while, they become super passionate about it, much like you see from those that play hockey or those that are basketball players. Once they dive into it, whether they have a high level of skill, they see themselves as someone that can play at the collegiate or even the professional level or not, they kind of just dive right into it. What about this sport do you believe makes kids go from maybe I'll dip my toe in the water to being like, I can't get enough of playing lacrosse?
We have one kid that's a West Bloomfield student who he lost 9th grade because of the COVID year. He was a soccer player, played some other sports. He started playing lacrosse as a 10th grader. Now he's playing D1 in New York. It's just a really just fun. I mean, and the opportunities, especially for kids to play from, it's the number one sport for boys, number two sport for girls to play from high school to college. And usually the ratio, it's about 14 to 15%, depending on the year that kids get to play in college from high school. Every other sport other than hockey is single digits. Yeah. So it offers a lot more higher level opportunities for kids to play at the collegiate level.
And that's a real draw for people to come to the sport and to get their kids into the sport, certainly for the kids that want an opportunity to play sports at the collegiate level or pursue sports further. This is something they can really embrace. And as you said, Jennifer, it's one of those sports that combines so many elements of so many different sports. And we find often that we have these kids that are really skilled in one area of maybe soccer, one area of field hockey, one area of football, and then they're able to combine all those different aspects to be able to be really strong lacrosse players. But beyond that, the game teaches them so much on both a physical and a mental side. What are some of those benefits that you really see stand out with these high school athletes at West Bloomfield, both on the boys and the girls lacrosse teams?
From the physical aspect, you've got running, you've got speed, you've got agility. And like I said, the stick work, so you don't have to necessarily be the best athlete on the field, but if you spend time working on your stick work, you can be the best on the team. But the mental aspect is just as much or more important because, number one, as kids, you're part of something bigger than yourself. So you get the reward of working as a team. And when kids help build themselves up and work together, there's so many mental benefits on that. The other thing is there's lifelong friendships that are developed from playing the sports. And then the third thing is which all parents will kind of appreciate, less screen time. We get these kids outside running around and having fun and getting those endorphins going and enjoying themselves.
And it takes so much effort and so much focus to be able to build some of those skills, that teamwork, because you're moving in so many various spaces on your field. You got to be able to kind of see a wider range and navigate yourself and your teammates through it. Those are great lessons for any sport really that a kid may be playing beyond lacrosse, and certainly for them to get those mental aspects and build those synapses that help them far beyond the lacrosse field. Jennifer Galati is with us, the youth coordinator for West Bloomfield High School boys and girls lacrosse. So much enthusiasm behind this sport. It is growing like gangbusters at West Bloomfield High School and so many other schools throughout the local area. With that, Jennifer, comes a need for increased fundraising. It helps to build some of these team programs that we see through so many other sports that take a sport from being a developing sport with momentum to really taking the skills and the abilities and the training to the next level. At West Bloomfield High School, how does fundraising from the community impact our lacrosse teams?
Well, so you have to keep in mind that this year, 2026, was the first year that both the boys team and the girls high school teams became actually school-sponsored sports. Yeah. Until that time, the boys independently did their own fundraising at the high school level, and the girls did their fundraising independently at the high school. And being 100% self-funded, the fees sometimes forced families to not be able to play because of the cost. And girls, the equipment is less. Boys, if you're starting new as a high school player, buying all new equipment is going to cost you about between $750 and $850 to be able to play. That's a lot for families to have to stomach, especially if they don't know if their child is going to fall in love with the sport. So what my organization is, West Bloomfield Lacrosse. We became a 501c3. So we help as more as a youth coordinator, and we're doing fundraising to get younger kids started in the program. So our fundraising helps with keeping costs down for all families. So we buy the field equipment, all the supplies to run the games, the uniforms for the kids, help pay for coaching and refs. So we can take what's considered an expensive sport and make it less expensive. But the bigger piece of the West Bloomfield Lacrosse and the 501c3 is we've been grant writing. And with the grant writing, we've received a bunch of equipment, or we've worked to get some equipment. So pretty much every boy youth player that is playing for West Bloomfield or signed up with West Bloomfield Lacrosse has at least one piece of equipment that was provided by the grants, from cleats, helmets, chest pads, gloves. And the girls program, just about everybody received cleats. And we also gave cleats to the high school girls program. And the boys have received 5 brand new helmets, 5 chest pads, as well as 4 sets of used equipment to get kids started who didn't have equipment.
And now, Jennifer, that the sport is school sanctioned, how does the fundraising in 2026 and beyond, how will that impact the team beyond now having some funding from the school district, from the athletic department?
There is, so the high school program, it covers the head coaches, but it doesn't cover the assistant coaches. They still have to fundraise for things like senior night and for, if they want to subsidize their banquet. If they need something, they won't, the school does not pay for player equipment. So goalie equipment, face-off stick, deep holes, the more specialized player positions still have to be fundraised for by the teams. So the high school teams are still fundraising. And then us as the West Bloomfield Lacrosse, our overall goal is to try to help the programs, but mostly through focusing on the youth. We get kids excited earlier, and so then the kids are ready to be able to absorb the cost, or they've been able to spread it out over the years instead of just walking in and having to pay a bill for $850 to try a new sport.
And it really does go a long way to help provide these opportunities for these kids, because it could be the only sport that they play, it could be that only experience, but we know that playing athletics in your young age, whether it's youth athletics, teen athletics, recreational, high school sanctioned, whatever it is, it has such a great benefit for these kids. Jennifer, before we let you go, we know that the fundraising is so important for a sport like lacrosse. How can the community both embrace this team and participate in some of those fundraising efforts in the months ahead?
We have, for West Bloomfield Lacrosse, we usually have a euchre tournament as well as a bowling fundraiser. We've got a couple other things in the works, like working on a raffle. The high school teams, the boys, I know I have a sponsorship program. You can buy their swag. You can make direct donations to the program. The girls program, same thing. They have their own fundraising apparatuses. And the other thing is, because we write grants for funding, our goal is we've came up with a fundraising. If somebody wants a grant from us, they can apply for those as well in the greater West Bloomfield area.
There's plenty of more information and ways to follow along with the team on the web as well, including on their official Instagram page. That is instagram.com/westbloomfield.lacrosse to follow the team all throughout the season. Jennifer, before we let you go, anything else that you'd like to say to the community? Let them know before we say goodbye about the lacrosse program, the fundraising efforts, the ways that this benefits our local high school kids.
Well, on June 2nd, we're in the process of scheduling a free try lacrosse event for 3rd through 9th graders. Come on out and give it a try. It's a lot of fun for boys and girls. We offer low-cost introduction to lacrosse programs over the summer and in the fall. When the kids join, they get their stick as part of the fees. And it's a lot of fun for them to start meeting their future teammates. We get the high school kids to come in and help us coach the younger kids, which is always fun, that bridge to watch the younger kids meet the high schoolers, because it's like meeting a rock star. You know, when you get to see them playing a game, you're like, hey, I know that kid. And that's kind of a fun thing that we are trying to bridge the gap between the youth and the high school players. Almost like a little brother, big brother kind of program. We have the high school boys is hosting a youth day on May 2nd at the West Bloomfield Athletic Field. And I don't have all the details yet, but it's going to be a player meet and greet as well as some goodies for the kids.
Yeah, something to keep on your calendars for an opportunity for your younger kids to meet some of the high school athletes, maybe get introduced to lacrosse, and of course, those fundraising opportunities always available. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us and telling us more about our lacrosse teams.
Thank you.
You never know when you're going to find your new favorite sport. We appreciated having Jennifer on the show to tell us the benefits of lacrosse, and we hope to see many, many students enjoying themselves in the sport in the many months to come throughout the summer this year. West Bloomfield Township hosts Household Hazardous Waste Day as a community-wide effort to promote safe, responsible disposal of potentially dangerous household materials. Drop-off days this spring are Friday, May 1st from 4 to 6 p.m. and Saturday, May 2nd from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. The drop-off was originally scheduled to be moving to the J in West Bloomfield, but has since been relocated back to the Civic Center campus in West Bloomfield. Here to tell us more about Household Hazardous Waste Day this year is West Bloomfield Township Supervisor Jonathan Montgomery. Jonathan, thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, Jake. It's Warshay, though.
Yes, my apologies. Sorry, I got mixed up with our own Jonathan. My apologies.
It's okay.
But we're talking about Household Hazardous Waste Day today here in West Bloomfield. It's coming up very, very soon. What types of materials should residents prioritize before coming to this event this year?
So certainly paper, office paper, newspapers, the ads that you typically get in the mail, that type of stuff. Plastics that are recyclable. And let me just say, a lot of plastics are not recyclable. For example, the black plastic containers that you might get with a carryout order are not. So people often do what they call wish recycling. They put it in there hoping that it is, but it's best not to do that. And certainly you can go to our website. If you go to the environmental department at wbtownship.org, there's a list of things that are recyclable that we will take. Things have to be clean. So that pizza box that's made out of cardboard, if there's any cheese or oil that's in it, it would contaminate it. And the problem is, it's not just one item that's contaminated. Often the whole recycle load gets thrown away. So if you're not sure, the best thing to do, if you can't find out, is just put it in the trash. And then certainly we're going to take things like paint and other chemicals, paint thinner, that type of stuff, and all sorts of e-waste. That would include, old radios, things like batteries, light bulbs, TVs, anything like that. And then, of course, this time we put shredding back with the household waste as well. And originally we did that because we were going to be at the JCC, but their plans changed. They scheduled two major activities with a lot of people the same weekend. So we knew there would be traffic and other logistical concerns. So we didn't have a lot of time, and we're sorry for the folks who get the last minute notice, but we are moving it back to campus. And because the demolition is not started yet on the Recreation Activities Center, but the building is empty, we have that whole side that is open that we'll be able to use for shredding.
That's okay. Really good benefits to having it by here. Yes, it is a last minute change, but that's why we're getting this information out there to make sure residents are aware of the change for Household Hazardous Waste Day. Now, Jonathan, what should residents expect when they arrive at the Civic Center campus for this event?
Well, first of all, let me say that it's best if you don't come right on the dot. Everybody seems to like to come first thing, and usually you should be early to events, but we have a lot of people who are happy to get rid of their items, and it's best if they maybe wait a little bit, wait an hour, rather than come at either 4 o'clock Friday or 9 o'clock Saturday. The line moves much better later. I've helped out at these events, and I've noticed on Saturday, 10:30, there's often nobody or just very few cars versus 9 o'clock when the line is down Walnut Lake Road. So that would be the first thing. They'll check IDs. the other communities, the 3 cities are participating as well. And then you'll go through, depending on whether you just have shredding or if you have household waste or both. You won't have to go through both lines if you only have one. You'll certainly be able to exit. And my understanding is the shredding will be on the on where the recreation center is. So if you're not going there, you'll just go straight out.
All right, important information. And yeah, I've been to the Household Hazardous Waste Day before a couple years ago, so I know how busy things can get, especially later in the afternoon when everybody's stopping by to drop off what they need to drop off and dispose of them safely. Now, Jonathan, are there any new guidelines or procedures residents should be aware of with this year's Household Hazardous Waste Day?
No, other than the fact that we have shredding combined with it, it'll be the same as previous years. So as long as folks are ready, we'll take their items.
For those just joining us on the Splash Live, I'm talking with West Bloomfield Township Supervisor Jonathan Warshay about this year's Household Hazardous Waste Day that's going to be taking place in West Bloomfield on Friday, May 1st and Saturday, May 2nd. You can see the times on your screen if you're watching on Civic Center TV. We've got 4 to 6 p.m. for May 1st and 9 to 12 for May 2nd. Now, Jonathan, how does Household Hazardous Waste Day fit into the township's broader sustainability and environmental initiatives?
Well, it really supports them because we're removing items that would go into landfills and the normal waste stream. So those items are then coming out from those streams. We can then have them processed for safer disposal. You know, e-waste can cause severe environmental contamination. There's lead, there's cadmium, there's mercury. And if those are just put into a landfill, they can leach into the soil and into the water supply. So by having them processed separately, those dangerous substances can be removed and making it safer for everyone.
All right, good for everybody to have this information and to know that they are helping the environment while they are at it. Jonathan, a couple more questions before we wrap things up. For residents who can't attend this Household Hazardous Waste Day, what other options are available for safely disposing of hazardous materials?
So ERG is the company we use to conduct Hazardous Waste Day, but they have a facility in Livonia. And if folks can't drop it off at Town Hall during our event, they can come into Town Hall and we will give them a voucher that allows them to drop off those items for free at ERG's facility in Livonia.
All right.
And they can do that anytime. It's not just limited to May or September, October. They can come in at any time and show proof of residency and they can get a voucher. Just go into the Planning and Development Services Department where we will have those vouchers for them.
Wonderful. Helping people out all year long to help them clean out their house and get rid of those hazardous materials. Jonathan, last question. Where can people go to gain a little bit more information about the process for this year's Hazardous Waste Day?
So if you go to wbtownship.org, our website, and then look for the environmental services, they should be able to find all the information right there.
Wonderful. Once again, Household Hazardous Waste Day taking place on May 1st and May 2nd. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Thanks for having me, Jay.
Wonderful information to have out there. Once again, it's going to be taking place at the Civic Center campus in West Bloomfield. It will not be at the J in West Bloomfield. Civic Center campus is the place to go to drop off your hazardous materials. We're going to take a quick break and jump into some more stories and topics right here on the Splash Live right after this. Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Jake Schaff. Oakland 80 is a county-wide effort focused on ensuring that 80% of working-age adults in Oakland County earn a post-secondary degree or credential by the year 2030, opening doors to stronger career pathways and long-term economic stability. The initiative continues to make a measurable impact, with more than 1,600 individuals in 2025 receiving critical support services through Oakland County, Michigan Works to help them pursue and complete their educational goals. Joining us on the Splash Live to tell us more about Oakland 80's impact is Oakland 80 Administrator Rana Al Igo. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rana.
Thank you, Jake, for having me. I'm a pleasure.
Of course, really cool initiative. Love talking about this sort of stuff on the Splash. How did Oakland 80 originate, and how has it grown over its run?
Oakland 80, as you said, is an initiative spearheaded by our Oakland County Executive, David Coulter, that sets a goal for 80% of our residents to earn some type of degree or credential by the year 2030. It started in 2020 with several key organizations, including Oakland Schools, Oakland University, Oakland Community College, along with partners in skilled trades, in labor, adult education, nonprofits. And since then, we've grown to over 75 different organizations at the table working with us. We've also benefited at Oakland 80 through bipartisan support from our Board of Commissioners, who've put some dedicated funds behind this initiative to help make sure residents have the support that they need to be successful.
That is amazing that all of these great resources are available for these people throughout Oakland County to help them with their goals. Now, how do Oakland 80 career and education navigators work with both students and adults to guide their career paths?
The navigators start by working with individuals who are really interested in inventorying their skills, their abilities, their interests and aptitudes, and sort of figuring out what their career aspirations are. They'll take, where they're at currently and what their long-term goals are, and sort of talk through some of the gaps that they might have. If education is needed, maybe a short-term credential or a longer-term degree, they'll work with those individuals to sort of determine where in our area are there opportunities for upskilling or for training. They'll actually help folks apply for different opportunities. We'll help them complete and look for scholarships or look for resources in the community. So it's a very hands-on, one-on-one approach that we take with individuals. And then we don't just get them to the path. We also work with them throughout the course of them working on whatever it is that they're hoping to pursue, so that they're successful in landing those great careers.
That's amazing. Wonderful processes for every single individual. Now, I would imagine going back to school, getting a second credential like this, it can be a challenging process. There can be a lot of barriers in the way to hinder someone's progress. What are some of the most common barriers people face when trying to further their education, and how does Oakland 80 help to overcome them?
Common barriers, as you can imagine, include sort of the cost of education, right? We have this perception that it's very costly and folks might fall into debt if they pursue higher education. So not many folks know about some of the great resources that are available, like the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. We have a community college guarantee here in Michigan for recent high school graduates. We also have Michigan Reconnect for adults that are aged 25 and older who may not already have a degree. And so we help individuals sort of determine what resources are there available in the community if tuition is a barrier for them, and help them access some of the great resources that we have. Other common barriers that we see actually are more like mental or emotional. Folks that maybe have stopped out or dropped out of school, maybe they had a bad experience their first go around, especially older adults who may have never finished. And so we help them sort of address some of those mental barriers or emotional barriers that they're feeling, and help be that motivation that they might need to pursue post-secondary educational opportunities.
Motivation is very important, and it's great that you're helping in any way that you possibly can. Rana, can you share maybe some of the success stories of individuals whose lives have been transformed through something like Oakland 80?
Sure. Through the course of Oakland 80, we've helped thousands and thousands of residents. With just career and education navigator services, we've served about 8,000 Oakland County residents, sort of again with that motivational piece and that emotional support. We've also provided 20,000 one-on-one services to individuals. So again, we're applying for schools, we're looking for scholarships, We're helping them complete applications like the free application for federal student aid that opens up opportunities for them. We've also helped folks with what we call supportive services. So if individuals are in an emergency situation and they can't afford the cost of books or materials, in some cases, they can't afford housing or utilities, we can step in with some of our resources and help with those emergency funds. And through those services and supports, we've been able to help about 4,000 residents. This includes about 400 residents just in the West Bloomfield area alone that we've helped with navigator services and Oakland 80 supportive services. So we see folks from across the board. Sometimes they're new to the post-secondary education world. Sometimes they're transitioning. We have experienced a lot of folks, especially during the COVID years, want to transition from their employment and move on to a different field. And so those are some of the things that we've done. We've helped folks in their last year of school, maybe avoid eviction. We recently helped the Oakland University student in that situation that lived in Pontiac. We've helped individuals pay for, maybe they have a past due balance on their educational bill and they just can't afford to pay that, and they're eligible for some of these great free resources moving forward, but that past debt is preventing them from continuing. And so we've helped with things like that for our residents here in Oakland County.
Wow, quite a lot of success stories, and it's great to hear of so much that has happened even right here in West Bloomfield. That's incredible. For those just joining us on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Oakland 80 Administrator Rana Al-Igo, talking about Oakland 80 and its county-wide effort to help 80% of working age adults in Oakland County earn a post-secondary degree or credential by the year 2030. And you guys have already made such a big impact with this. How does the initiative help residents who may be changing careers later on in their life?
Again, we will really work with individuals on a very one-on-one basis. We'll engage with them in terms of where they're at currently, what their future career aspirations are, sort of figure out, do they have the background needed to achieve some of those great paying careers and great paying jobs, and then work with them to build a plan, whether it involves education, short-term credentials, short-term training. In some cases, they just might need practice interviewing or a little bit help, scanning for some of the jobs that are available in the community. We have virtual workshops that folks can attend. They're free, they're open to the public. And those are great resources as well for folks that maybe don't feel like they're ready for a one-on-one support, but want to sort of gauge where they're at currently. And so just a lot of great resources for folks. We really want to make sure that they understand that they can leverage some of their transferable skills if they've got experience in one field, but are really interested in pursuing other careers. There's a lot of great opportunity out there for folks that, again, maybe just need a class, maybe they just need a credential or a certification or just some coaching to move on to that next step for them.
That's amazing, and it helps that you've got resources available for people going at pretty much any speed, whether they're ready to jump right into things or they want to just ease into the process a little bit slowly. Now, we said 80% by 2030. That was the goal. What progress has been made so far towards that 80%, would you say, right now for 2026?
Yeah, that's a great question. When we started, we were at about 61%. And our executive set a really ambitious goal of 80%. We had some hiccups with COVID and sort of the delay with that, but we're right on track. We're almost at 70%, so about halfway to our goal. And so we're really excited. We're really excited for what's next over the next, couple years. Those next 4 years we know are going to be hard, but we're really looking forward to helping as many people as we can reach their educational attainment goals and hit that 80% mark in a couple of years here.
Wonderful. Congratulations with that. I got a couple more questions, Rana, before we wrap things up. How would you say Oakland 80 is contributing to economic growth and stability within Oakland County as a whole?
It's a great question. We do this work obviously because we want families to have economic self-sufficiency and be strong. We know there's a strong correlation between educational attainment and sort of earnings for individuals, but also earnings in the community. So, thinking through how we measure individual success, but community success as well, a lot of those are tied back to educational attainment. We know folks with higher education generally earn higher wages. we know that they're less likely to be unemployed, even during times of economic downturn. And so when we measure the state of our economy here in Oakland County, we really do look at some of those indicators related to educational attainment. Just yesterday, Oakland County released its economic forecast. And when we look at how we compare ourselves to counties across the country, a lot of those indicators are tied back to jobs, they're tied back to earnings, and tied back to education.
Wonderful, and that's so great to hear of everything that Oakland 80 has been accomplishing all throughout the years. Last question, Rana, for residents who may be interested in getting involved, what is the first step to connecting with Oakland 80 resources?
I'd say the first step for any resident is to really reach out to us. If you're comfortable looking online, oakland80.com is our website. We've got great resources there. If you want to give us a call, we have a hotline, a toll-free hotline, 888-559-4360. Reach out to one of our navigators. They'll get you on the right track, and they'll go at your pace, really, and help you determine what your next step might be.
That's the place to go. We want to see Oakland 80 accomplish their 80% goal within the next few years, and they can do it with your help. Rana, thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live.
Thank you, Jake. Appreciate it.
Of course, it's such a great program benefiting people here in Greater West Bloomfield and all throughout Oakland County to help people with maybe navigating a career change or working to enter the next chapter of their lives. Oakland 80, wonderful program. Hope to see it continue and continue to grow in the years to come. Spring is here in the community, and that means we are seeing more and more beauty and pops of color everywhere you look, and that is absolutely true in Kego Harbor. The Kego Harbor Community Garden has been taking requests for the past few weeks, and that's going to be opening on April 25th for the community to check out and to admire. I recently had the chance to speak with Kirsten Sonneville Douglas of the Kego Harbor Parks and Rec team to give us some insight on the garden and its history in the community. Kirsten, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning, Jake. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I mean, I always love hearing about stuff like this because it's just another reminder that spring and summer are here. The warm weather is coming, and we don't have to worry about the snow or any of that cold anymore. It's great. What role does the garden play in bringing the Kego Harbor community together?
It's just a wonderful opportunity to get experienced gardeners together, new gardeners, me, I'm always learning, and giving an opportunity to do something for our community and together. And that's always, you'll hear me say that all the time, is just getting our community together.
That's right. That's what it's all about all throughout Greater West Bloomfield. Now, with this community garden, how can residents sign up for a garden plot, and who is eligible to participate in something like this?
Anyone's eligible. They can go onto the Kego Harbor website, which is kegoharbor.org, under Parks and Rec. They can get the application there, or if they'd rather just go into City Hall, they can access an application there.
All right, great. Plenty of ways to get involved and to make sure that this garden truly is the centerpiece of the community and really comes into bloom. Now, maybe there are residents or volunteers who maybe want to help out with this garden, but maybe don't want to commit to a full plot. Are there opportunities for volunteers who still want to help in that capacity?
Completely, right? Helping, doing some watering. If you're walking around and you see a plot that's dry, I do that all the time. If I'm doing my plot and I see someone that could use a little extra water, we've got the rain barrels there to help with that. We're always taking donations if you have leftover seeds. So we have a little lending I don't know if it's lending library, but a library of seeds. So if you have extras, we put them there. Extra tools that maybe you've purchased new ones, we can always use some refurbished ones, so that people aren't having to bring all of their tools up to the garden. But the garden could be anything, right? We have master gardeners that have amazing vegetable plots. Last year, I did one that was more just flowers to help with the pollinators, right? So there can be anything from garden flowers to vegetable crops.
There's something for everybody. There's flowers, there's vegetables, there's so much for the community to enjoy. Now, you just talked about a lot of these master gardeners who are perfecting what they have in the garden. What should first-time gardeners expect when they join the Kego Community Garden?
You're asking the wrong gardener. No, right? the nice thing is when you're out there, you can ask someone going, wait, what is this? And how do you best, when did you plant that? Because there is a system, right, where you're going to plant the colder, hardier plants first. And then there's a season. And MSU, Michigan State University, has a great resource for that. And so it's just nice to kind of tap into some other people's knowledge, especially when you come on the opening day. You don't have to, but it's just kind of nice for all of us tending the beds, getting them ready to do some of the planting. Now, some of us have already kept the garden through the winter. We don't manage it because it's more winter crops like kale, or for me, I'm doing garlic. And so you just plant them in the fall and you let them be. But the nice thing is with the garden in the spring, if you're coming to the first one, you're just meeting some of the other gardeners and you can ask questions, which I love learning. So I love asking all the questions.
Of course, many ways for people to get that necessary information, especially if they've never done something like this before or never been involved with a project like this before. Now, you just talked about how spring really signifies the start of the gardens, of the garden really coming into bloom, and that's for obvious reasons. But what makes spring such a special time for the garden, and more specifically for Keego Harbor in general?
It's just nice seeing our neighbors out. I feel in the wintertime, and I don't think it's just specifically to Keego Harbor, right? When it's cold, we just drive up to our garages or just drive up and walk inside. It's nice seeing people walking around. It's nice to connect again in the spring. And I think spring just kind of, is where it all kicks off. We also have other opportunities. You did mention about how they could volunteer. If people are interested in taking some of our garden plots that are at our pocket parks, so we've got small little parks, not our big ones, but like firefighters, there are these little garden areas that if someone just wants to take one of those and own that, we would be happy with that volunteering as well. So there's a lot of ways to connect and to volunteer in Keego Harbor.
April is National Volunteer Month, so we want to highlight as many of those opportunities as we can. For those just joining us on the Splash Live, I'm talking with Kirsten Sonneville Douglas from Keego Harbor Parks and Recreation about this year's community garden in Keego Harbor, which is open right now, or applications are open right now. And the garden itself is going to be opening on April 25th. So plenty of opportunities for people to get some greenery in the community and to make everything that much more beautiful. Now, we talked about this a little bit about, especially a garden like this coming into bloom with the spring season having just gone through winter. How does the garden help people reconnect with nature after the cold winter months?
Science says, right, it helps you ground, right? And getting your hands in the dirt, it's healthy for your body as well. So here's an opportunity. Some people might not have the extra space in their yards. And so this is an opportunity to have a dedicated plot that they can tend to. And some people actually take 2 plots because they want a larger garden. But it's healthy for being out in the community. It's wonderful for our community. And it's good for everyone's health too, being outside.
Of course, and this garden provides so much for Keego Harbor. How does the garden support sustainability, healthy living, and even something like food access in the area?
That's a great question. So I think to go back, this whole idea kind of started off with a Eagle project. We had an Eagle Scout come present to do the garden, and it was something that we had kind of tossed around at one point, but never kind of moved it forward. And this was an opportunity for us to kind of test the waters. And so we had a few, I would say plots. They took rain barrels or barrels and cut them in half. But because of the expansion and contraction with the water and in the soil, those weren't sustainable. So there was interest. So then we moved to making permanent plots. We've got 16 of them. And then a little area where we've got, I think, 3 rain barrels now. And so then that was helping make that sustainable, right? I think it's amazing to teach other people how to be able to grow their produce. I do that with my own son. He loves, going and taking tomatoes or cucumbers off of the vine, and there's nothing better than tasting a fresh vegetable off of the vine. But just helping with sustainability, if we can grow our own foods, if we can grow that, that's better for our environment in itself.
See, that right there is exactly what I want to hear, especially as you are showing all of this to your son and getting him interested in gardening as well. It's spreading that love of nature and gardening throughout the community. I mean, that's what everybody wants to hear and wants to see as we see this garden continue to grow throughout the season and in the many years to follow. Kirsten, last question before we wrap things up. What do you hope, above all else, that visitors and gardeners take away from being a part of something like the Kego Community Garden?
They just find joy in it, right? That it brings happiness to our community, it brings happiness to our residents and our gardeners. And again, just being able to connect with our community through another avenue. There's so many ways for us, but some people, you know, we connect with young families, with kids. But if you don't have kids or you're older, this is another way to connect with the community in a different capacity.
And that's amazing. And we love to see all of these opportunities throughout the community all throughout the spring and summer season. And that's exactly what we're going to be seeing. Kirsten, thank you so much for joining us today here on The Splash Live.
Thanks, Jake. Have an amazing day.
And that's going to do it for us today here on The Splash Live. Big thank you to all of our guests and for everybody on the Splash Live team for helping to make this show possible. I've been your host, Jake Schaff, live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV.